Good morning, Lisa here. If you go to sleep at night and you feel like you've done something, more than likely you have. We consider this that you're working for the army of the Lord or you're working for the bad guys. Either way, I'm speaking to you. These theorems are based on Dolores Cannon's work, reading my Bible, and my own personal experiences. Dream time, when we talk about that, it's when you go through your awakening and you get past the meditative state where all the thoughts rumble through your mind and you've actually worked some things out, and then you get to quietude. And when you start seeing things, then you're there in the dream time. Also, like when you wake up and you really feel like you've got bumps and bruises and you've done something, then you're in the dream time as well. Now, today is Thursday. I have work today, so I'm going to try and get through this fast. I have a message that I'm going to read, another tarot reader's message, and then give a kind of an interpretation, a tiny little card pull message, and at the end, okay? And this is chapter 12 of Angels Don't Play This HAARP by Jeane Manning and Dr. Beghich. Welcome into my home. It's like you're in Grandma's house here. Okay, so we're going to do it real quick. Chapter 12 is short. Oh, sorry about that. Chapter 12, Twisted Words, Star Wars, and Poker Flats. Trying to pin these guys down is like nailing Jello to the wall. That was how one No HAARP member described the military's public relations efforts on the project. The HAARP had little or nothing to do with nature's electropaintings in the sky, the aurora borealis. The project name was the mask behind which the military hid, letting the University of Alaska Fairbanks, through the Geophysical Institute, moved out front on the project, parading it as a research effort with an economic development spin. The latest additions to the research have revealed government disinformation. The first new item was found in the library at the Geophysical Institute. There's a notation here. PLGP Technical Memorandum Number 195, Presentations from the HAARP Workshop on Ionospheric Heating Diagnostics, 30th of April through the 2nd of May, 1991, Phillips Laboratory, AFSC, Hanscom, AFB, MA 01731-5000. Editor Major Drew Fisher, October 22, 1991. Okay. And revealed the true scope planned over the long term for HAARP and the technologies it uses. Other important items recently uncovered were the remaining 9 of 12 patents originally assigned to ARCO Power Technologies Incorporated, APTI, and then there's a notation here. United States patent numbers 4686605, 4712155, 4817495, 4873928, 495 4709, 4999637, 503 8664, 5041834, 506 8669, 520 2689, 521 18374, and 5293176, which would eventually end up in the patent portfolios of Raytheon Corporation, one of the world's largest companies. The meetings and informations put together by the military as part of the environmental impact statements process seemed all right to most, although several people were pretty well informed about the possible ill effects of radio frequency radiation. In most areas of the country, this level of knowledge would have been unusual, but in Bush, Alaska, radios are a way of life, and many plug into the planet via satellite dish and internet connections to stay up on the latest research in many fields. In the winter, time passes slowly, and the new technologies have brought relief and stimulation to the minds of many in these remote reaches of North America. Alaskans also tend to have independent spirits, having had to carve out their niche in some of the most severe environmental conditions in the world. Alaskans are a bit skeptical. For many, the EIS, Environmental Impact Statements, meetings raised more questions than they answered. The government seemed to try to create the illusion that the project was standing alone when, in fact, it was tied to another number of other experiments and systems. The project requires other equipment to run with the HAARP facility, some of which was described in the military's and University of Alaska Fairbanks various documents. The Poker Flat Rocket Range is the largest land base, 5,132 acres. And there's a notation here. Geophysical Quarterly, Volume 10, Number 1 and 2, Winter, 1992, page 1. Largest land-based research facility in the world, and the only high-latitude rocket range in the United States. It is the only university-operated range in the country. Poker Flat Rocket Range has been funded in the past years with NASA grants of $1.5 million annually. The site also received a $30 million upgrade as part of a national defense bill passed by the Congress in the early 1990s. Geophysical Quarterly, Volume 8, Number 1 and 2, Winter, 1990, page 2. When Dr. Sunichi, aka SOFU, Akasofu, declared, "We plan to build the best upper atmospheric research facility in the world." Notation of that book. I'm sorry if I bastardized your name, sir. Public relations communications on HAARP during 1993 and 1994 denied that the project was formally tied to the Poker Flat Rocket Range. During 1992, the Air Force funded, under a separate program, the launch of a 17,000-pound rocket carrying a payload of 2,770 pounds. The Spirit 2 rocket was used to send a high-tech telescope about 205 miles above the Earth to measure emissions from auroral displays. The Geophysical Institute disclosed that researchers at Hanscom Air Force Base in Massachusetts plan to use the measurements as part of a larger strategic defense initiative organization, commonly known as Star Wars. Study on atmospheric disturbances. Studying infrared light is important because it can prevent some Air Force satellites from being able to detect targets, other satellites, or clutter in space, just as city lights can prevent people from seeing the stars in the sky. Geophysical Quarterly, Volume 10, Number 1 and 2, Winter, 1992, page 1. A number of other military projects have been reported in the Geophysical Institute's publication, which, although they were funded separately, produced information crucial to the planned use of HAARP. Many of these kinds of projects are revealed throughout this book. At the same time, the HAARP project started and the poker flat upgrades were funded. The university also received, again, under separate congressional funding, $25 million for the Cray supercomputer, which the military indicated was also not formally tied to HAARP. A notation: Pork Pie in the Sky, Anchorage Daily News, We Alaskans, December 15th, 1991, pages 9 through 14. However, upon investigating, it was determined that this computer would be committed to 30% Defense Department uses. While the military couched their words in ways that deflected interest away from these facts, the records were clear. What was not so clear was why they were not just saying yes. They were going to use all these systems. Yes, these systems interface with this hardware while being funded under separate programs. Another notation: PL/GP, Technical Memorandum number 195. Presentations from the HAARP workshop, Ionospheric Heating Diagnostics, 30 April through 2nd of May 1991, Phillips Laboratory, AFSC, Hanscom, AFB, MA, 01731-5000, Editor Major Drew Fisher, October 22nd, 1991. As indicated in their own planning documents, it just didn't add up. What was the big deal anyway? In a letter to one of Alaska's legislators, the public relations man for HAARP, John Heckscher, stated that the HAARP program is not formally tied to the Poker Flat rocket range, nor to the new supercomputer at the University of Alaska. However, the research capabilities associated with these excellent facilities will undoubtedly be of interest and use to scientists using the HAARP facility. Another notation: Department of the Air Force's Phillips Laboratory, John Heckscher, HAARP Program Manager, letter to Alaska State Representative Jeanette James, November 12, 1993. John Heckscher was at the military planning sessions, which clearly described the use of these other facilities. The summary of those meetings in 1990 and 1991 contained the following: the incoherent scatter radar facility envisioned to complement the planned new HF heater is currently being funded in a separate DoD program as part of an upgrade at the Poker Flat rocket range in Alaska. At the same time, it turned out that 30% of the computer time on the supercomputer was for Department of Defense DoD purposes. So why the misinformation? What could be gained by deception, and how much other material was being hidden behind the programs of the University of Alaska? The reports go on to describe the additional need for the rocket-borne instrument, discussions of which was also evaded in the responses by Heckscher to the Alaskans' inquiry about this project. A review of just 1 year's grants to the HAARP, but forming complements of research which will undoubtedly further the program objectives. Notation: University of Alaska Fairbanks Geophysical Institute Summary of 1993-1994 Grants. It was found that the military's public relations program was intended to minimize the significant factors regarding the technology. the interactivity of other projects, and the real control and direction of the project. The records show that HAARP was part of a global cooperative effort which included the USSR, Canada, Japan, Greenland, Norway, Finland, New Zealand, and others. As a note there, PL/GP, Technical Memorandum number 195, presentations from the HAARP workshop, ionospheric heating diagnostics, 30th of April through 2nd of May 1991, Phillips Laboratory AFSC, Handsome AFB MA 01731-5000, editor Major Drew Fisher, October 22nd, 1991. Okay, no HAARPers questioned how much of what information was being shared and with the countries uninvolved in the project, considering that all could be adversely affected by HAARP. The University of Alaska Fairbanks is beginning to build a reputation as a leader in geophysical research and planetary system modeling. The Geophysical Institute will continue to attract researchers, but their biggest source of money is from federal government agencies tied to the military. The HAARP project is wholly controlled by the military, with the same warning signs around the facility is a military facility. It seems the university is increasingly being sidelined on the project. At this time, HAARP is a congressionally initiated effort. HAARP is being managed cooperatively by the Air Force and the Navy. And then there's a note here. HAARP fact sheet of Office of Naval Research, Phillips Laboratory, November 4, 1993. HAARP is not a university research project. It is a proof of concept project for the military. A proof of concept project is one where advanced research experiments are designed to test on generally a smaller scale specific applications of research. These tests allow experimenters to extrapolate results which can then be used to engineer full-size technology implementing systems. In other words, this is the step just before full weapon systems development. The military carefully hid the interaction of the patents originally assigned to APTI and used in conceptualizing HAARP. These 12 patents are described in another chapter of this book and show how the HAARP system will actually be used as a weapon. The risks associated with the system are also discussed. The most revealing document was one the government has kept in a very tight box. PL/GP Technical Memorandum number 195. This document, which explains the military applications of the project, was supposed to be sanitized before public release. This writer was fortunate in finding this document, which was misplaced in a library, as shown in another chapter. This document most effectively dismantles the public relations disinformation put forward by the military. And that's the end of chapter 12. We're going to call it good there. Next week we'll go on to chapter 13, which is called Star Wars Company Control. Thank you for listening. If you did, it's 4:38. Now I'm going to go on to the other part of the message, which is for the collective. And for anybody who just checks in, this channel is really esoteric, and it's specifically for people who know they operate in the dream time. Now, when we talk about HAARP, and this is going to come into this message, so we know there's a collective of people who've been given grant money to experiment with HAARP technology and spiritualism. Spirituality, they consider witchcraft spirituality. Now, there's a basis here that God doesn't approve of, and yes, be hateful of me. I'm speaking as if God's talking to you, okay? He's working with the inside out. And there are some people out there who actually know in the dream time, can astral project, can manifest their, and they have eyes, they can stop people, they can make people think, they can make people go to sleep, they can pick out thoughts out of your mind. And then the HAARP technology also analyzes brain by color activity. They map your brain waves and they can tell what you're thinking, okay? I have heard some very irresponsible people who have this in their hands, and I've heard them say, the women, about a specific man, if they get charged by a man, they look into his mind, he's not thinking about me, okay? This is where somebody, a coalition of people, need to come together and talk to military people as to why are people test subjects without their knowledge? Why do you think that's right? Why do you think certain people should be oppressed? And these conversations need to happen, okay? Now, when we come to the aspect of we're operating in 5D space, and there are people who would like to say, oh, she's not enlightened. She only has $2,000 in her bank account. She can barely pay her bills. Oh, she's 69 years old. Oh, she's ugly. Oh, this one is that, this one is the other thing. So you've got a group of people, military people, senators, politicians, presidents, rulers of countries who are very judgmental. And I think that's an incorrect way of thinking. So does God, okay? And that's why he's working in a different paradigm from the inside out. After all, your HAARP technology has literally changed the dream time. We're supposed to go to sleep and our bones and everything heals and we recreate and God changes things and he talks through us through the dream time. We wake up, it's a dream. But you all have made it different. Some of us are actually multidimensional and layered now. And what you have here with the HAARP, and I can express Will Smith smacking somebody, and if I got that wrong, I don't watch TV. Okay? I spend very little on the entertainment industry because I don't think it is an industry anymore. It's just a brainwashing committee. And God would like to see that change. After all, some of the brightest lights are out there in the dream time being repressed through the entertainment industry. And I can give you technical details on how they use entertainment industry leaders to subvert and get into your personal life. And it's not a pretty picture. But they can now. Now, I don't... different message, we're not going there. I'm talking to my collective. So, we have actors slapping actors in a public setting, and there's chaos pretty much going on in the political scene and in the world. What do you think's doing this, people? It's not a joke. Meanwhile, millions of people go missing so these people can perform sacrifices and do sacrificial ritual, which God stopped over 2,000 years ago with the birth of Jesus Christ. Now, I'm not trying to be religional here, but it's a basic political fact. Jesus was the last sacrifice. God hates seeing animals sacrificed for no reason, and even more hates when human beings are sacrificed, especially when people are sacrificing bright lights. Now, I have an unusual circumstance in that Unfortunately, I've had husbands human traffic me, which put me out there into the world that there's like fanaticism. Men follow me around and do weird shit just to look into my life. And I've had some people come to the place where I work to look me up and down as if I'm a regular person struggling to survive in this world, and my inheritance has been stolen. I'm hooked up with a famous actor, or a few, actually quite a few of you are hooked into me quantumly. Some of you illegally because you've raped me in the 5D space. Now, there is such a thing as quantum entanglement, and you can have sexual relationships with somebody over across the world. And a particular person and I have been involved in that. At first, for me, it was like, this is experimental. I want to see how far it goes. It's a dangerous thing to do for any of you, just so you know. Now, I listen to other tarot readers, okay? And some of them have really, honed in on this story. And I'm going to read to you something that one of my tarot readers, Mystic Tori, okay? She says, let me share something important, especially for those who are speakers, leaders, or called to become one. The spirits of Leviathan and Jezebel often target those with influence, those whose words carry weight, truth, and impact. These energies are subtle, deceptive, and strategic. They work to distort communication, twist intentions, and ultimately disrupt your purpose, especially when your voice reaches and influences others. And I know I'm talking to influencers out there. Their assignment is to create confusion, which they have in the instance of my inheritance, okay? And they have for Benedict Cumberbatch, that he actually has a fucking clone. Their assignment is to create confusion, conflict, and division if they can manipulate or misrepresent the words of someone, and I know my words have been misrepresented, who speak life and truth. They consider that a victory. This is why discernment is not optional. It is necessary. And I'm going to stop right there. She's got this on her channel. Read it, the whole thing. I love her because she has a wisdom when she gives those readings. So you have the ability to look into somebody's life, okay? You need to use discernment, should you. Now, I don't sit in my living room and close my eyes and meditate. I ask Spirit to help me understand things, okay? I don't ever go looking into anybody's lives, and if I've seen anything in your life, it's because they wanted me to see something. I either bless you or I harm you, okay, through the 5D thing. They say when we put our energy, if it's a bad guy, they'll get hurt. If it's a good guy, they won't. We bless them and shield them and protect, okay? Now, I pulled some cards this morning because I'm trying to figure out, it is confusing what Benedict and I have going on. So many people have involved in obstructing us from getting to know each other. It's not even funny. And he's been told all sorts of lies and stories about me, and I've been told all sorts of lies and stories about him. And you often wonder, why am I still talking to Ben with some of the things that have happened? It's because I know Sophie is a witch. She's not a high priestess, okay? She's a witch, and she's compulsed him. Ben's got other things going on, other people who have put that fucking skin cloak on him, and he's compulsed and manipulated. These 4 cards came out today, and I don't usually pull from the Dulac, but this is the Star, which is like somebody in sleep. And the Devil. The Star has a devil attached. that supposedly wants to kill the woman that's supposed to transform him and have happiness with. That's never going to happen. And I would like to say this about tarot, just in general, because I hear over and over again, some of you are going to tarot readers over and over and over again to find out what's going to happen, what's going to happen, what's going to happen. Why don't you just let things happen? Why don't you just use your brain to manifest what you want happen? And then to look at it realistically. Are you looking at yourself realistically? I had a conversation with Ben this morning. I looked at the cards. The cards kind of scared me. When Ben and I get together finally, when that happens, my whole life is built on a whole different set of paradigms, paradoxes, religion, experiences, and people that Ben has no idea about. And he's got the same thing going on in a whole different way. So there's a lot for us to deal with. He's got family with a lot of fucked up problems. I got family with a lot of fucked up problems. So we're going to have a lot of pages to turn, okay? And nothing's set in stone. This is what you people don't understand. And you can't stop what God has meant to be. Let no man pull asunder what God has put together. Now, I don't know if the intention is for us to be a family or if we're just going to be partners. And it's not anybody else's business out there. We're all getting tired of you people in the military, you fucking politicians, you fucking actors with way too much money and time. Mind your own fucking businesses. The energy just might not be good for you. And when she's talking about discernment, discern what you should get involved with. Now, there's a really sick individual out there who's decided that a specific person should be their woman. No, you have to ask that person if you're interested. You have to discuss it like a human being. You can't impose your will just because you have a big fucking name and you think you got all the money in the world. If you keep it up with that, you're about to have no money in the world. Know this to be true. And I heard Catherine Winnick no longer speaks out because you beat the fucking shit out of her. And then you're going to try and blame it on me or somebody else. Oh, it was spirituality. It was her with her psychism. It's time for you people to stop doing criminal acts in other people's names. Because your names and your money, you can't pay everybody, okay? This is one of these cases where you can't buy your way out because of your name. It's time for you to look within yourself and realize, where did I go wrong? And if you're of a religion that feels like it's okay to have multiple wives and that person you have a fixation on isn't into that, the line is in the sand. That's where you stop if you're smart. You can't impose your will on everybody just because you're rich and famous. Oh, there's some people who are tougher than trees, friend, harder than mountains, and they are the rock on which you will break. God plants those peoples there for a reason, okay? I'm sorry, but it's time for you to pull your pants up, put your dick back in, and get a grip on who the fuck you really are, because a whole bunch of shit is about to be exposed. Anyway, that's all I have to say. That's for my collective. We're out there operating in the dream time. We're in a higher technology. When you become totally aware of that and you realize you're fucking powerful beyond all comprehension, it's time to really have discernment about what you say and do. You don't have to respond to everything. You can't force your will onto everything. We are somewhat godlike. After all, we are made in God's image. But everybody is. Everybody's got a piece of the puzzle. And everybody has a spark of divinity. And that's where you have to learn respect. We have to respect each other. Okay, that's all I have to say today. I hope you all have a blessed day. When you come in to look at me where I work, I'm very gritty and I'm very real. I'm 69 years old doing a 30-year-old person's job because you all put me here. Do not ridicule me. You won't like what happens in public. And I'm very, very capable of commanding my emotions, and responding when it's necessary, and not responding when it's necessary. Use discernment, people. And when you pull tarot, don't pay somebody to ruin somebody's life. A, you're harming that tarot or psychic person who thinks they're powerful, because you just don't know who you're paying to attack whom. Tarot isn't the answer. It just gives you an energy, like this energy. This energy is saying there's a bunch of people who have a demon on an individual, and they're trying to tell me that that individual is going to kill me. No, he's not. The minute he meets me, that demon perishes from his back. So you can't control everything. Cards are just energy. It gives me the idea, the notion of what I have to deal with. And I can change that. And so can you. If you've been put in a hard place, it's for a reason. Don't despair. Don't despair on me, dragons. All right, that's all I have to say, or I'll keep rambling. Remember, a lot of you are freaking amazing, and I love just about all of you. Bye now. Thanks for listening.